Hi everyone. The intention was to come to you with a B Live broadcast this morning, but we had technical difficulties. So we're on Zoom and I'm recording it now. Marisa and I have been frantically going backwards and forwards going, oh, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? And that's okay. We've come up with a different way of doing it. We're having the interview on Zoom, and I'll post this into the group. Marisa and I have known each other our whole lives. We grew up together, not far away from each other, and it's probably only been in the last 12 months or so that we reconnected, right, Maris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
I have done a couple of energy sessions with Marisa, a couple of them sort of mid last year, and then I went to her a couple of weeks ago and talked to her about the 90-day program. So I'm very, very pleased to introduce you to Marisa Aramini Salerni, who started the 90-day program only on the 6th of March. Marisa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a changed person.
In 16 days. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 this year, and I'm married, but have been for 28 years. Grew up in the house next door, got married, moved to this next door, and got my folks living behind me, my brother next door. I've got 2 beautiful children, and we're all happy campers here.
Oh, you guys have got your own little suburb going on.
We do. We call it Araminiville, and yeah, it's great to have everyone at an arm's length, but it's also great to have a front and a back door as well. So that's good.
Absolutely. Now, listen, Marisa, I know from the conversations that we've had that you have been doing a lot of personal development work for yourself over the last couple of years. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, look,
I think it may have just dropped out a little bit there, Maris.
Their partners.
Sorry, I think it may have dropped out a little bit there. Yep, keep going.
Okay, so I think the struggle is that when you're in a relationship, you seem to want to change the other person, and for a long time in my relationship, there were things that I wanted to change to suit me, but then it took me quite a while, and I realised that the change can only come from within. You can't change someone else, but you can change yourself and your outlook. So that's what I started to do. I started to change the way I approach things and the way I felt about things. And, you know, some people might say, oh, that means you sacrificed a lot. I don't necessarily think I sacrificed a lot, but it helped me to find some inner peace, because it was like, if you have expectations of other people, for me, I always say, with high expectations, you're always going to be let down. Whereas if you have no expectations, life is just all surprises, isn't it? So,
it certainly is.
Yeah. So that's where I then, you know, decided, right, the change needs to come from within. And I then started to work on myself, and I think sort of change my mindset. You know, we like to use that word, mindset, and not put pressure on others, not put expectations on others, and sort of find my own way. You know, basically not find myself, but recreate myself.
Yeah.
To sort of fit in with the person that I wanted to be ultimately, you know, happy and just relaxed. And because I spent a lot of my youth being very angry and, you know, headstrong and rebellious and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I think with age, naturally, that all changes. But I think the understanding of it is where the light bulb moment comes in.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
sort of say, I can't keep being that person because it's sucking the life out of me. So
Yeah.
I need to find how I'm going to better improve myself to stay, you know, mentally sound of mind and not lose my shit at every little thing that happens.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on. And with you, I've continued to work on that.
The thing that I find most interesting when people go through this is when they use the word recreate, and a lot of people take that as almost like a negative connotation, that you're recreating yourself. But I always think that is such an empowering thing, because in our developmental years, we weren't given the choice of who we were to become. We had the influences of, you know, our parents, our family, society on who we were supposed to become. So having the opportunity to recreate yourself as the person that you actually believe yourself to be, as the person that you want to be moving forward in life, I think is one of the best things anyone can do for themselves. So congratulations on realising that was part of your path.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like a new me.
and that's a good thing, you know. Listen, now I know you were a little bit tentative when I first approached you about the 90-day program. Do you want to give me and the people watching, what were your initial thoughts when I came to you and said, listen, I've got this 90-day program and I think you'd be perfect for it?
I think what I was questioning more than anything was, well, what do I really want? What is the end product of doing this 90-day? What are my goals? And, you know, where most people might say, you know, it's to do with career or what, you know, for me, it's absolutely not that. For me, it's more just self-growth. Yeah. And I think if I can work on my self-growth, and then that energy will then it sort of gives me calmness and clarity to sort of go through day-to-day experiences with all of them, you know.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think for me, that's what it's been. It's been more like a self-growth thing, not that, you know, I have to find a career and I have to make millions of dollars, because that's not me at all, you know. So I've got my husband to work to do that sort of stuff.
God bless them, every one of them, I say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, and having said that, I'm very thankful that I do have a husband who supports me, you know, with whatever choices I make. And as you know, last September I left my job. It wasn't a full-time job, but it was a 5-day-a-week job, 5 hours a day. So it's still a good chunk of every day of the week that I was going into work. And, you know, at first I loved it, but then I decided, no, this is not where I should be. And it was really bringing me down.
Yeah.
And so I was crying one night. I was in a fetal position in my bed crying, thinking, oh, what am I going to do? This is driving me, you know, it really got the better of me. And I got upset with my husband and I said, can't you see that I need you to support me right now? I said, you know, why don't you hold me or tell me what I need to hear? And he said to me, get over it. He said, if it's pissing you off that much, just fucking quit, he says to me. And the light bulb moment went off. And I was like, you know what? He's bloody right. You know, he shouldn't have to be hugging me and saying, oh, it's going to be all right. You know, he's bloody right. And if he could say to me, if you're not happy, get out, then that was like the world was lifted off my shoulders. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. And so I did. I quit. Yeah, and I quit that job. like that. And no regrets. No regrets. In fact, you know, it's been the best, probably, 6 months now?
Yep.
Because I've now become my parents' carer, and, you know, it's giving me quality time with them, which, you know, is good for me because I know, you know, their time here is not much longer, as, you know, and for me it's a great thing because I feel like having spent all this time with them, I won't have any regrets when their time here is done.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I've given my all to them. So yeah, I feel really good about that. And then, you know, whatever comes next comes next. I work now at a pizza restaurant, and I only do 1 night a week at the moment. I did start off doing 5 nights a week, and as much as I love it, your feet are bloody sore at the end of a night's work. So 5 nights a week was pretty, you know, it was pretty tough. But I love that I'm doing it 1 night a week. If he wants me a couple nights, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. But it gives me time to be with my family, be with my parents. I'm still amongst the people when I'm at work. So for me, it's a good balance, you know.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also gives you the opportunity to be focused a little bit more on your own development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know because, you know, I've worked with your mum as well. I've been working with your mum for 12 months. I know that, pardon me, the commitment in looking after parents can be quite challenging. So, you know, having the time to be able to do that, absolutely beneficial.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think so.
Can I ask you, what was it that made you realise, and I know that you're into you know, very focused on the self-development, but also looking after your parents. What made you realise that now was the time to actually just take that extra step and do what needed to be done in working with me?
I think everything sort of fell into. There's really no answer. I think everything just the stars aligned.
Yes.
This whole issue, there's an issue going on with my son at the moment, and I think, you know, when the chips are down, you're sort of trying to cling on to anything you can.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like to use the word timing, but I thought the time was right to, you know, when you presented this program and with what I was actually going through with my family, I thought, what can I possibly lose? I can only gain from this.
Yep.
So I thought that's what it was. Yep. That sort of pushed me to do the 90-day program. And I think it's just given me a whole new perspective on how I look at things. And, you know, perspective being the word from last week, I can't tell you how many times I've used.
Oh, I think we've had a freeze.
And it's interesting that we're transferred to other people in a conversation, or, you know, so I think for me this was just meant to be. It's been like another awakening for me, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see it. I can see the difference in you. You know, from you know, even when we had the conversation just before you joined the program, I was blown away. I was blown away when I saw you, and I even said it to you. Your face looks different. You carried yourself differently, and that was not even 10 days in, and I was blown away. I thought it was absolutely amazing. But what were the first few days like? Because I know that the first few days were a little bit of a struggle. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that? No.
Oh, that was awful. It was like, oh no, I'm going back to school. It's like homework all over again. She's given me paperwork. What do I write? I'm forced to think here, you know, because with me, my thinking sort of comes and goes. But here it's like, you know, and it's like retraining myself actually, because
Absolutely.
I often used to say to myself, oh, that's a good idea, I should write that down, but then you forget about it and you don't. Whereas now I'm sort of thinking, oh, I should write that down, and then I'll write it down. So, yeah, absolutely, like a retraining, because, you know, it's like when you say to acknowledge your thoughts, well, you have to acknowledge them, and then when I put it on paper, I feel like it's gone full circle then. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah,
because
well,
I know
you do, because
we worked through you know, that little block that came up around sort of the focus sheet, the weekly focus sheet that is part of what you need to do each week. Once we work through that block and you kind of realised its potential, how did that change things for you?
Well, I think it was good, because it then made me look at things differently, because I had to write things down. Every little thing then had a meaning, you know? Like, for example, the first time I said to you when I went to the shops and the lady behind the deli counter wasn't very pleasant, you know. Normally I would just not worry about that too much, but because I'd already started to make the changes and I wasn't as arrogant as I normally would have been, my attitude towards her was very different. Like, you know, I noticed there that the reaction I had to her was a much better, what's the word? I liked myself better as being the non-aggressive person. Yeah. And just to go on with that, the other day I went to the shops with my dad. He wanted to buy some beer, and I just love this one. And he's a very difficult, you know, soul to be around. But
oh, I think it's frozen up again. Oh, there we go. You're back.
So he gave me a bottle for free, just like that. And I thought, you know, what made him do that? And I think he obviously he could see that I was the way I was being with my father, you know, and he probably thought, she needs a glass of wine tonight. So here you go, have a bottle. And it was just lovely, a lovely gesture.
Benefits when you don't even expect them, right? And that's just by being positive and by being, you know, feeling that you are, you know, being a nicer person, to put it in the most simple terms possible. Yeah.
Exactly.
Marisa, what's been the biggest breakthrough or the biggest benefit that you've experienced in the last couple of weeks? What's been the biggest thing for you?
Well, I think the positive outlook, because I think the biggest issue we've had here at the moment at my house was the issue with my son, where just briefly he's been scammed or conned by someone, where he's lost a lot of money. And, you know, apparently this person is not a very nice person and is involved with some shady characters. So where we would normally want revenge, you know, having the Italian blood and all, I've been through so many emotions, we all have, where you've come from anger to rage to revenge to all these sorts of things. And then it was like this enlightening moment where I just thought, no, nothing will be achieved with revenge or violence or anything like that, because my husband was ready to run this guy over or whatever. You know what I mean? You get to the point where you just let your emotions take over, and you can't do that. So,
well, not the negative ones anyway.
Yeah, not the negative ones, because you don't come out ahead, you know. I'm a true believer in karma, and I believe he'll get his. And if he doesn't, I'll take care of that from the afterlife or something, whatever. But you know, the biggest issue for me was that I had to be strong in order to get my son through it, because he was having really bad breakdowns and meltdowns and very dark thoughts and so forth. So I had to put a positive spin on it, which I did. I said to him, you know, you'll have no further contact with this guy. He's never going to be any good for you. He's not going to give you anything positive. We need to come together. We need to unite. We need to all be in agreement that we're going to put this thing to bed. We're going to look at it as though you've taken a risk and the risk didn't go well. So now you're going to have to work on making up whatever it is that you lost. And quite, you know, amazingly, he's like a changed person since we've had that conversation. And luckily he's got a great friend who gave him a couple of ideas of how to approach the situation in order to make it work for himself, rather than, you know, sit there crying, oh, poor me, poor me. So, yeah, he's going to have, you know, another year of hard work to try and recompensate his loss and so forth. But at the end of the day, we're all here, we're all healthy, you know, and we can all work on this together. We're here to support him. And I think it's been a good lesson for him at the same time, because, you know, he put so much faith in people that you can't be like that in a big city. You really can't live like that. It's a shame to say, but, you know, there's so many different personalities out there that you still have to be very wary. As much as you want to give out love and, you know, receive love, you still got to tread with caution.
Yeah,
so it's been a very it's been a very good lesson for him, an expensive one, but a very good lesson, I think.
And for yourself, Marisa, what I've heard all the way through this is, you know, you've actually looked at boundaries and broken through, you know, preconceived ideas of who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to react. You've taken on board absolutely the views on perspective, looking at things differently and allowing that to then actually lift your spirits, which I think is absolutely absolutely incredible. And the story that you've just told us has just shown, you know, resilience and bouncing back, not just for yourself, but for the family and for your son. And you know, I want to give you credit for that as well, Marisa, because in you having taken, and I've said this to you before, in you having taken the step that you took, you've had that impact on the rest of your family in this situation that could have been, you know, could have had a much less pleasant outcome, now has, you know, a positive outlook to it. It has, you know, very clear defined actions that will lead to a better outcome. And I want to give you credit for that, because you did the work to get it there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that, you know, that it all worked out the way it did, because, you know, it could have really gone in a bad way, but I'm happy with the outcome. And, you know, I think you really need to change your perspective on things, on situations, because if you don't, you know, it's a very bad choice if you don't. And I think, you know, the choices we've made have been the right choices.
Yeah. One last question. I'm going to ask you, looking back over the last 2.5 weeks.
I'm married already.
And so am I, my darling. You know that. looking back over the last couple of weeks, now this can be a bit of a weird question to ask, but if you were to rate yourself from a score of 1 to 10 and the way you've handled all of the situations that you've been presented with, what would you rate yourself? I know what I'm going to rate you.
10.
Oh, yeah, boom, baby. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, because I've done a 180, you know. I mean, and I have to say, I said a couple of rude words today, but, you know, my language used to be really colourful, and it's not that colourful anymore.
Yeah, look, you know.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, we've addressed, and I know you won't mind me sharing this with the group, but we've addressed issues around anger and rage and revenge, and they are all emotions and sensations that don't come from a place of love. And once you start dispelling that and diffusing the energy around those particular things, you know, they don't hold the power anymore. And, you know, the cussing and the swearing, and, you know, I'm a trooper for that when the time's right for it. But when you're not driven by those, you know, quite aggressive emotions, your entire outlook changes from one of aggression to one of compassion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Any last words? Not last words forever.
I want to show you something.
Yes.
This is just how I've been working on myself, and you've seen this.
Yes.
I'm going to take you out.
Oh, it's cut out. It's frozen up. Hopefully you come back. Oh no, Marisa, are you there? Oh no. Guys, I think it's frozen up. Oh, there she is. You're back again. It froze up there for a little while.
Can you see it?
Show us again, because it froze up for a little bit.
Can you see?
It's your little Zen garden. For those of you who can't.
It's freezing. Yeah, can you see it?
It was freezing.
Did you see it? Look.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of it, the little Zen garden in the corner. And you know what, Marisa, after we finish this feed, I'd invite you to actually go and take a photo of that and post it into the group, because it's absolutely stunning.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marisa. And I'm sure that a lot of people in the group appreciate how open you've been about your experiences, not just in the program, but in life in general. So I thank you for that. You know
me, I'm an open book.
It's in sharing our experiences that we can be open to being healed and allowing others to heal. So I congratulate you for being able to do that.
And I did it with no tears today.
And you did it with no tears, and I know that was one of your goals. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Marisa. Mwah. I think we're going to touch base. I think once we get the technology right, we're going to touch base with you again when you're halfway through the program, and people can get an update on how you're going.
Yeah, perfect.
Wonderful.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for that, Adele. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.